The dollar bill trembled in Ezra Whitmore's weathered hand as he raised it above the jeering crowd. $1 for a human being. The auctioneer's hammer hung suspended in the dusty air of Millbrook's town square, and every eye turned to the stranger who just made the most audacious bid in the history of their twisted marketplace. It was 1871, 6 years after the Civil War's end, yet here was a slave auction in broad daylight, a grim reminder that some horrors refuse to die. Ezra hadn't planned this. 20 minutes earlier, he'd ridden into Millbrook seeking grain supplies and a hot meal. Instead, he stumbled upon a scene that turned his stomach. A young woman, no older than 19, stood on the platform, her dark skin marked by recent beatings, her eyes burning with unyielding defiance. As the bidding started at $50, Ezra's nausea grew. At 75, rage surged in his chest like a gathering storm. Then, in a moment of reckless clarity, he shouted, $1. The auctioneer, Silas Gentry, a greasy man with a predator's smirk, squinted down at him. "Did you say $1, stranger? This here's prime merchandise, not some broken-down mule." The crowd, men in tattered hats and dirt-streaked clothes, murmured, some laughing, others glaring. A few looked dangerous. "You heard me," Ezra said, his voice steady despite his hammering heart. $1. Take it or leave it." Across the platform, the girl's eyes met his. For a fleeting moment, something passed between them, not hope, but recognition. She saw something in this gray-haired stranger that the others missed. A new voice cut through the tension, smooth as snake oil. "I think we should honor the gentleman's bid." The crowd parted to reveal Marshal Boon, the town sheriff, his badge as tarnished as his reputation. His pale eyes studied Ezra with a predator's calculation. "A bid's a bid, and I'm curious to see what our visitor plans with his purchase." Ezra's spine prickled. This wasn't charity in Boon's gaze, it was a trap. But it was too late to back down. Silas Gentry's hammer fell with a crack that echoed like a gunshot. "Sold to the stranger for $1. As Ezra stepped forward to claim the girl, Keturah, the crowd's faces turned hungry, their curiosity replaced by something darker. He'd just made the biggest mistake of his life, and in Millbrook, nothing was ever as simple as it seemed. The shackles fell from Keturah's wrists with a metallic clink as Ezra led her to the edge of town near his horse. His plan was simple: unlock her chains, let her vanish into the wilderness, and ride away with a clear conscience. But Keturah's voice stopped him cold. "You need to run," she whispered, glancing back at the town square where men still lingered, watching. "Head north. There's a settlement 20 miles up the river." Ezra blinked, expecting gratitude, not this firm, educated voice. "I just freed you. What's to understand?" Her laugh was bitter. "Freed me? You think Silas Gentry and Marshal Boon will let you walk away with their property? That auction wasn't for fun." Before he could respond, hoofbeats thundered, multiple horses, moving fast. Marshal Boon appeared first, flanked by 3 men Ezra didn't recognize. Behind them rode a figure that chilled his blood, a massive man in a black coat, his face scarred, 2 steel teeth glinting like daggers when he smiled. "Having second thoughts, stranger?" Boon called, his hand resting on his gun. Keturah whispered, "The big one's Iron Teeth McGrath. He's not here for money." Ezra knew the name, a bounty hunter who dealt in human cargo, enjoying his work too much. Boon continued, "That girl's spoken for. Iron Teeth rode 200 miles to collect her." McGrath's voice was gravelly. "She's mine by right, bought and paid for. Your auction was just entertainment." The pieces clicked in Ezra's mind, this wasn't a random auction but a staged delivery. Keturah was being held for McGrath, the auction a farce to make it look legal. "We could make this ugly," Boon said, "or you can take your $1 and ride out with your health." Ezra glanced at Keturah, her terror hidden behind a mask of calm. Her eyes reminded him of his daughter, lost to fever 3 years ago, same intelligence, same stubborn dignity. "What if I refuse?" he asked. McGrath's steel teeth flashed. Then I get to have fun before I collect my property. The standoff was broken by new hoofbeats. Riders in pristine Union cavalry uniforms appeared, led by Captain Thorne, a lean man with gray hair and eyes like ice. "Marshal Boon," Thorne said, his voice commanding, "interesting gathering you have here." Boon forced a smile. "Just local business, Captain. Nothing for the army." "That's where you're wrong," Thorne replied, his gaze locking on Keturah. "Miss Washington here is very much army business." The name Washington hit Ezra like a blow. Keturah's spine straightened, confirming there was more to her story. McGrath's hand twitched toward his gun. "She's my lawful property. I got papers." "Funny thing about papers," Thorne said. "They can be forged, stolen, or bought from men with no right to sell." He turned to Keturah. "Your father's quite worried about you." "My father sent you?" Keturah asked, her voice steady despite the tension. "In a manner of speaking," Thorne said, his smile razor-thin. "Though I suspect he didn't expect such colorful company." McGrath drew his gun, but Ezra tackled Keturah to the ground as the first shot split the air. Chaos erupted, bullets flew from 3 directions as Boon's men, Thorne's soldiers, and McGrath fought their own battles. Amid the smoke, Keturah crawled toward a fallen saddlebag, her eyes fixed on it with desperate intent. Ezra followed, shielding her as she reached the bag and pulled out documents with military seals and a photograph. Thorne's face paled. "Dear God, the Washington Protocols." Keturah stood, clutching the papers. "Everything's here, every name, every payment, every dirty deal made in the name of Reconstruction, including yours, Captain Thorne." The truth hit Ezra. This wasn't about slavery but a conspiracy of corruption at the highest levels. Keturah's father, a government clerk, had documented every bribe, every illegal deal, thinking it would protect him. Instead, it got him killed, by Thorne. McGrath lunged, but Marshal Boon shot him down, revealing his own plan to eliminate witnesses and pin everything on the bounty hunter. Before Boon could turn on Thorne, the captain's sidearm fired, dropping Boon. "Now then," Thorne said, smoke curling from his barrel, "where were we?" Keturah bolted for Boon's horse, the protocols in hand, shouting, "Millfield. There's a telegraph office." Ezra followed, but Thorne's soldiers pursued, their fresh horses closing the gap. Keturah led them onto a narrow mining trail, forcing Thorne's men into single file. "My father was their accountant," she revealed as they rode. "He documented their crimes, but when he saw the slave auctions and land grabs, he tried to expose them. Thorne killed him for it. They spotted Millfield below, its telegraph wires a beacon of hope, but mercenaries waited in town, Thorne's backup." Ezra pointed to abandoned mine buildings. "We make a stand there." Inside the mine, they found crates of rifles and ammunition, hidden by paranoid mine owners listed in the protocols. As dawn broke, Thorne's soldiers attacked, but the mine's defenses held. Then, unexpectedly, genuine federal cavalry arrived, led by a young lieutenant. Ezra's friend Samuel Rollins, suspicious of his absence, had sent a telegraph for help. In the chaos, Keturah sprinted toward the reinforcements, protocols raised high. "These papers expose treason," she shouted. Thorne's final shot hit her shoulder, scattering the documents, but Ezra shielded her, rifle aimed at Thorne. Outnumbered and exposed, Thorne surrendered. 3 months later, the Washington Protocols sparked a massive scandal, exposing Reconstruction's corruption. Dozens were arrested, illegal slave trades dismantled, and Keturah, recovered, testified in trials. Ezra returned to his grain business, forever changed. That $1, raised in a dusty square, had bought justice for hundreds, proving that the smallest gestures could carry the greatest weight.